Tell me your name first.
I'm Leslie.
Leslie?
Yes, Leslie Kline.
Leslie Kline. So Leslie, I got to know you basically through TikTok.
Yes.
The video that we just showed, a little clipping of it right before this episode started, shows you in a Waffle House, and unfortunately somebody punched you in the face. A male subject did.
Yeah.
And very graphic, very hard to watch. But, you know, of course that video got a lot of views on YouTube and it went viral, I'm sure. And so you started a TikTok after this incident, right?
I did.
And you started speaking out about domestic violence that you suffered yourself in the past. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you want to give a little background to that?
I do. So the incident at Waffle House almost made me just like, there was some stuff that I was suppressing from previous relationships, 5 years of domestic violence, that the Waffle House trauma just brought to the surface. And I couldn't not talk about it. Like that night when I got home, it just started, it was almost like word vomit. And I didn't even know where to word vomit to.
Right.
Never had been on TikTok like that, really. So I just sat down with my phone in my vanity room and I just pushed play. I saw that I had 10 minutes and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it go.
You know, I'm not going to say stigma, but domestic violence is horrible. I mean, in all aspects of the word, you know? And, you know, I have a lot of fellow police officer friends, and they tell me one of the most dangerous calls you go to, any police officer answers, is a domestic violence call, because emotions are so high and, you know, it's a volatile situation.
It is.
And so your past has had you in this volatile situation multiple times, is that correct?
Twice.
Twice.
Mm-hmm. Where I could have lost my life.
Where you could have lost your life?
Mm-hmm. Both. So 2 separate relationships. One was a marriage. I was punched in the face and I was strangled. So that's very, very dangerous. And the crazy thing about it is it took me like 2 days to realize that that was actually an attempt on my life.
Right.
And then the second was just a relationship. I waited after my domestic violence situation the first time. I divorced him. I waited 1.5 years, and then I got into another relationship where I told that guy my story, and it was 100 times worse.
Really?
It was.
So he knew your story coming in, and he knew what you had been through, and yet he did the exact same thing or worse.
Worse.
So from somebody from my standpoint, or people from the outside,
Yeah.
the question I'm sure you always get asked, and the question that I have in my mind, why do you stay?
That's a really good question. And you know what? I think that so many survivors get asked the same question. And I really do believe in my heart of hearts that if you've never been through it or never had a loved one that's been through it, you just don't know, because there's manipulation. There's I actually just made a TikTok today about the text messages. I love you. I miss you. You know, I want to be with you. The songs that he would send me. And that relationship in particular, like I was made feel like that was my soulmate. So I would pray on it and I would just ask God, like, if this is not my guy, like let him let me go, you know, like people can break up, you know, and
Right.
He just kept coming back, and it got to the point to where I had to eventually end up getting a protective order.
Is it so much that they love bomb you? Like when things are good, they're really good.
Very good.
And,
Yeah.
and it's almost like an exaggeration of when the times are bad, right?
Exactly.
So when they're bad, they're very, very bad. But when
Yes.
they're good, they're very, very good.
Yes.
So the abuser, you know, focuses on all the good times, and you remember this, you remember that, and
Yeah.
I'll change. How many times did you get told I'll change? Is that common?
I can't even count that high. And, you know, people can make you feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
You know, I think there was a lot of pity there, because when you have a heart like I have, and I can't speak for everyone, I can just speak for myself, and I try to do that in my TikToks. I speak from my experiences, but You start hearing people's stories and you start having compassion and empathy for them. And my empathy level is like off the charts when somebody starts telling me their life or their story. And then also when you see someone who has so much potential, it's like, but you could be so great. And, so I've had to check myself on that a lot. Like I've had to do a lot of soul searching on why Leslie wants to fix things or, so it's not a one-sided thing. It's if you don't dig in after something like this, if you don't dig in and figure out why I chose to keep in that, it was the potential. It was the love bombing. It was the pity. It was a lot of things.
And you said a lot of times that he would get you to feel sorry for him, almost like he was a victim of it. Is that kind of, yeah?
Well, so with relationships like that, and I know we throw the term narcissism, we throw it around and everybody's a narcissist because they take pictures, but it's a victim mentality. And so that I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like to consider myself a victim. I don't want to claim that. I want to claim survivor. I want to claim, look at my life now and see all these things that I've been through and where it got me. And I prayed it for these things and I prayed to get out of those situations. And a lot of things. God helped me. My community helped me. You're helping me, and inadvertently, just hearing my story and allowing me to come here, and the bar owners allowing us to have this space. It's just a lot of things that people don't realize. It's not just that easy to just leave.
Right. And I'm a survivor of a house that had domestic violence in it.
Wow.
I was a witness to it. And it was a stepfather at the time. And that was one question I always had. I was not even a teenager. I was 10, 11 when it got really bad. And I'll never forget the night that the guy put a gun beside my mom's head and just in an attempt to scare her and gain control, he fired the gunshot. He fired a shot.
With you in the house?
I was going next door. It had gotten bad enough that I knew I was running next door to my grandfather's house, my grandmother and grandfather's house. But I heard the gunshot when I was going across the yard.
Oh God! And the fear.
So the first thing I thought was he's killed her.
Oh God!
And there's still
make me cry.
and there's still a bullet hole in the ceiling.
Oh geez. Okay.
But and my question to my mom was always, why are we back here? Why is he back here?
That's a hard spot to be in as a child.
Yeah, and it took me years to realize that when the times were good, they were good. Mm-hmm. But he was a drunk. That was his thing, and that's not excusing anything.
It's not.
No, because I'm sure that that's a scapegoat for a lot of people who are abusers. Is, I was drunk when it happened. I was drunk when it happened.
I don't remember. Or
yeah.
I shaved the middle of your head and I don't remember doing it, or I punched you and you're telling me I did it, but I don't remember. These are not things that happened to me, but just the stories that
you're hearing now.
That I'm hearing now are just horrific. Stories like that, like you just told me, that created some childhood trauma, and it was probably a real hard pill for you to swallow, like, and wanting to go, but also wanting to go back. Like that's, to see if your mom was okay. Like that's rough. That's hard stuff.
It was a rough time. And I think that it kind of did me like to the extreme. Like I've went to the exact extreme opposite of what this guy was, because it's like, I'm very protective of women, I'm very protective of children. And I've gone to that. I can tell
by your girlfriend.
Yeah, I've gone to the extreme opposite. I mean, and I always have. I mean, I would never, ever in a million years lay my hand on a woman. I mean, but I would lay my hands on somebody to protect a woman, even a woman I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that's an aspect of what happened with the Waffle House trauma. There was a man there who recorded, but he didn't help. And I get stepping back from the situation.
But that's the whole reason why you stepped in, because you were trying to de-escalate it.
Well, we were in the crossfires. There was no way, so I can't say a whole lot about that. But,
right.
But just there, so that's the abuser that I was telling you about, he knew my story. He told me, he said, I would never put my hands on a woman. I would never, and he had several times. And I know that from people that told me the truth about what he had done.
Right.
So that's typical for somebody to say, oh, I would never, and still do it and do it 100 times worse. It's awful. And so they build your trust and then they break it down and then they love bomb you and then they let you down again and then they love bomb you and those love bombs just feel so great. Everything's perfect. Can I make you breakfast? Can I bring you this? Can I bring you that? And it's just
Shower you with gifts and stuff like that.
well, maybe not gifts,
Yeah,
but yeah, just all the things that if you're, I would think a normal human, that woman that just wants to be loved, you're like, oh gosh, this feels so great.
So I put it out on Facebook on the page that I was interviewing you today for talking about domestic violence, and somebody put out there that long before the physical abuse starts, emotional and degrading starts.
Oh yeah.
So it feels like you're lucky to be with them, I guess is what
It's a slow breakdown process. It starts with, body image is a thing. I was told I was too skinny. I was told, and just things that I'm like, too skinny. Like, what do you mean? I want to be skinny. So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of just little. It's hard to be with a person like you. You don't realize what I put up with you. Not everybody would want a relationship like this.
So the mental and emotional starts way before
yeah.
before the physical usually.
Oh yeah. And then there's usually some cheating in there. Not always, in my experience, yeah, but there's usually some, and for me, I can only speak for me, that was like, am I not worthy? Like, you're cheating on me, and that wasn't even supposed to be our relationship. So there's there's a lot of just little things that are done to break you down before the actual physical abuse. I knew one time he ripped my glasses off and he threw them in his yard. And because I had already been with the first domestic violence situation, I knew. I was like, oh, this is it. This is telling it's going to get worse. But I went back.
You knew it was going to get worse.
Yeah. He had family members call me and I'm so sorry. And,
so they elicit help from friends and family too. So.
Oh yeah, emails and I miss you so much, because at that time I'm like, I'm just gonna block. I'm gonna do all the things. I'm done. You showed me enough, and then when you get an email from someone, you're like, wow, you really went the extra mile, and it should have been a red flag, but sometimes the red flags are not red flags. They're like pink and they're pretty and they're like shaped in a heart.
Right.
And I love hearts.
So a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have never experienced domestic violence. I've seen a lot of it throughout the years. I mean, with family members, the whole nine yards. I remember I had a cousin, every time I went into his house, there was something broken in the house. There was holes in the wall. TV remote would be shattered, and I'd be like, what happened? And he'd be like, mom and dad again. So kids see too much of it.
They do.
And not only are you a victim of it, but your children, if your children witness this like I was, I was a victim of it too.
Yeah.
So I had somebody on Facebook ask a really good question. And he said, what are some signs that you know that somebody else is in trouble? Like, what is a sign that somebody from the outside could have saw in you and been like, man, she's in trouble with that relationship? I know one example. I have a friend who reached out to me the other day and said, hey, I don't talk to my old friend anymore because since she got married, he won't allow me to talk to her.
Yeah.
Did they isolate you from friends and family?
So the marriage where he punched me in the face and strangled me, yeah, and it was very calculated. It was more like, why do you hang out with so and so? Why do you go out with her? She's she's not presenting herself appropriately, and you don't want anybody to look at you and think that you're that way, and this is my best friend ever in life. And I'm thinking, I love her. Like, she's my friend. She's my best friend. Like, and so there's isolation.
That's almost like the strategy of war, divide and conquer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've never heard it put that way before, but yes, exactly. It's like separate them from everybody who could tell them that I'm essentially a piece of shit. And also, in that marriage, basically, anytime we would go out, and I loved this part, but he was right up under me, holding my hand, bringing me flowers to my job every week. I mean, I felt like the queen of the earth when all that was, just the huge love bombing. And it took about a year, and then a year after marriage, then that's when the mask fell off.
So let me read what Dee wrote on my
This
thing
is
today.
a guy or a girl?
It's a girl. It's a
Okay.
lady named Dee. She said, the typical abuser isolates, humiliates, and then abuses. Sometimes it's so very subtle, you don't even notice it till the beatings start. But not all abuse is physical. I've watched someone I love very much go through that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So somebody knows a whole lot, because that is exactly the cycle. So there is a cycle. There is a build up, discard, or build up, devalue, discard, and then a lot of times the circle starts again. So it's the love bomb. And so if you have, because that's a spectrum, right? That's a spectrum. So it's hard to determine what spectrum that person is on. And being that I've been in two abusive relationships, those two people were totally different. So, but the cycle usually is about the same. And so you just hope that you find your way out of the circle. I did that. I got a protective order to get myself out of the circle. There is no doubt about it that if I would have not done that, that man would continue to harass me and stalk me and call my phone and send me emails, and I think that cycle probably would have lasted my whole life. And that sounds very, very, very weird, but it's a thing.
Yep.
Even the domestic violence advocate that went to protective order court with me, she said, look, this order is valid until October the 17th. She said, so on the 17th, if he calls you, because they typically do, call me back. So she knows the cycle. So there's people out here that know what it looks like. And so one huge message that I want to come through my TikToks is I am healing loudly. Waffle House started it, but I cannot shut up about it. And people have contacted me and they're like, girl, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking, because I want to say these things and I can't.
Right. So I know something that you told me off camera too was we were talking about different styles of abuse. You actually said financial abuse was part of it too.
Oh, yeah.
And can you explain that?
Yeah, so financial abuse is usually subtle. I had that in both of my relationships. It's wanting to split things, or, oh, I don't have my wallet. Can you pay for this? And then over time, you start to realize, like, this is a pattern. Like, you don't ever have any money. Like, so, and then it's almost like, hey, I don't have the money I only have partial. Can you put it on your credit card and then I'll give you the other amount, and then you never get the other amount? Or I want to go on this vacation, and if you put it on your card, then I'll help you pay, or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of different forms of financial abuse, but also,
Now, did that lead to physical abuse?
so I can't say that it led to physical abuse, but
But was physical abuse part of that same?
it was all encompassing
It was all
at the
encompassing.
same time. Yeah. Like, yeah. So,
So you almost were fearful of, if I didn't do this financially wise, then I may suffer a bit?
no. It wasn't that. It was just, I honestly never knew when the physical abuse was going to happen. in that particular relationship, it could be a perfect night, perfect. Everything's great. We're having a good time. And it could literally be you knowing me and walking up to me and saying, "Hey, Leslie, how are you?" And then I give you a hug. And then I look over and I'm like,
And you know,
oh God, like,
this.
and I didn't know, like, hey, I'm gonna get. It wasn't like I'm gonna get beat tonight, but it was just like, ooh, the energy shifted, and I don't even know why. But oh, I do know why, because there's a larger male. So that's insecurity on his part, right? There's a larger male. He knows my lady. He came up and hugged her, and she didn't introduce me to him, or it's just it was I guess like a respect insecurity. Just I don't know where it comes from because
Right.
I wasn't him, but I could see when it was like percolating.
Right. So, a lot of us, and I like to say us real men who would never harm a woman.
Yeah.
A lot of us look at men who do as they are, they're very insecure.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can y'all usually see it? Like if you say you're at Main Street,
Yeah.
right? And you see a girlfriend of yours that you've known for years and she's with a guy and you walk up and give her a hug or whatever, and then you look over at her guy and he's kind of like acting weird. Is that something y'all can
Oh,
sense?
yeah, you can sense it.
You can?
I can sense
Wow.
I can
I didn't
sense
know that.
I can sense a lot of people that I feel may be abusers. Or
Okay.
you can pick up on cues and stuff like that. Like you can watch the way that the energy shifts. Because the one thing I can read is energy.
Yeah.
In the same way that you said, if
Yeah.
you were to hug somebody and you can feel the whole energy shift because you knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I can't say that every guy can do that.
Yeah.
You know.
I get it.
But there are cues, and I think a lot of it's because I've been around people. I've had friends that I've had to disassociate with and cut off just because they were abusive to one to a girlfriend, one to a wife.
Yeah.
And I said, look, don't ever do it around me because I can promise you we won't be friends.
Yeah. Good for you.
But,
So heal loudly. Healing loudly takes people like that know and see it and don't just stay silent. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yes, it happened to me. And yes, I'll talk about it. But I also, if I know it's going on anywhere else, I will absolutely say something. And I want to eventually get to the point to where I don't talk about those two individuals because they hold no power over me. I got through those situations. I've survived. I've got God. I do not want to give them power.
right.
But what I won't do is be silenced because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to, or my situation was different. I didn't have children with either of these individuals. So for me to just say, you know what, I just wanted you, but I didn't need you, so let's get divorced, it was on me, and I could do that. I was financially stable. I had my own home. So my situation was different. A lot of people are not in the same situation.
And I think that's one thing that I like about what you're trying to do with the platform is to give people an example of how to get out what
Yes.
getting out looks like.
Yes.
So when you were isolated and you were alone at home, did you feel alone? Did you feel like you didn't? Did you have any friends that were trying to say, "Hey, Leslie, get out of this"?
So isolated and home alone almost sounds like I'm like sitting on the couch by myself all
Right.
the time. I've never been that woman.
Right.
Like never.
But I meant metaphorically.
yeah.
Did you feel like you were alone?
No, I did not because it's impossible to isolate someone like me. Like
got you.
impossible. But it's crazy because individuals like that usually are abusive want people just like me because they feel my energy. They can, and it's almost like, ooh, that's a bird. Let's cage her, And so it's crazy when they try and they can't. And I think that's what almost prompts the physical abuse because it's like I'm trying to control you and you won't let me. I'm just not, but not everybody's like that,
Right.
So isolated is more like a, hey, you shouldn't hang around for me.
Right.
But my situation is different from the next person. There's so many different variations. My financial status was okay. I had my home. My child was grown and gone. My mom will always be close to me. My best friend, it doesn't matter who tells her whatever, who tells me whatever. She's still coming over. She knows. She's spiritually in tune. You know, like she can feel when something's wrong
Right.
with me. So isolation for me was not. No, it was not. You know, I'm
But
sitting there feeling alone.
for others out there, it is. I'm sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so much so that where you're not allowed to have friends. Sometimes they'll move you. Sometimes they'll move you out of the state and be, you know, like, hey, why don't we move to so and so for a new start? And then, but I don't want to live around your family when we're there. Why don't we go? We don't need your family all in our business. And so it's hard for a lot of people because, and sometimes, you know, like military situations, you know, like you get in a relationship, you go with your person
Right.
wherever, you know, you go, whether it be your husband, your wife, whatever, you go, and then you're stuck, you know, and you're not stuck. That's what I want people to realize too. You're not stuck. It's going to be hard, but you're not stuck.
So with your platform and your advocacy, you know, to help domestic violence victims,
Yeah.
what would you tell somebody out there tonight that's struggling, this been in a that is in a situation that you've been in before? What would you like to tell them?
Don't give up hope and just pray. Just pray. And they can feel free to reach out to me. I know I'm not going to reach everyone. There are community resources out there that sometimes they're very hard to navigate, but when you find the right person, there's Facebook groups that you can go on, but when you find the right person in your community, like I did, it just made me feel so relieved. Like finally somebody listened to my story, and I think that's why people are using my platform. They're seeing my message and they are reaching out to me like no other, and it's heavy. It's heavy. I listen to all the stories and I remember all the names of all the people and the kids, and it's just a lot, you know. Don't lose hope. Just keep praying. Don't give up on yourself. There's a beautiful, beautiful life that you can live, and I'm living it.
Right.
And it's just inadvertently happening to me, but like, yeah, it's happening.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
No, do not be afraid to ask for help. And don't stay silent just because society has put this stigma on domestic violence. My story has helped so many.
And there are advocacy groups out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
There is resources. There is places that they can go for help too, isn't there?
Yes.
Abused women's shelters, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So I don't know them personally
Right.
because I didn't have to go that route. But there are several, and I guess the more I get into this and the more people that reach out to me, like I can literally teach somebody how to get a protective order because I know a lady, you know?
Right.
And I can get, if they want an interview, I know a you. If you know, if they need a platform area, Main Street is the platform. You know, so I don't know some of that stuff. I do plan on doing the research because I know that it's needed.
So this is a passion of yours, right? To help people that were in your situation.
It wasn't always. I think now I understand my purpose. Like I've never had anything. I cleaned teeth for 17 years. I love teeth. I love teeth.
That's why you said you were a teeth person.
I am a teeth person.
got you.
Yes, so I'm a teeth person. So I never in a million years. Number one, I never, ever, ever thought I would be abused. So nobody should ever say never. I knew when I started my TikToks and I started posting them on my personal Facebook page that people would be like, what? I mean, like Leslie Kline, my hygienist, you know, and so yeah, I did not know that this was my route, but this is my passion now. This is the one thing that lights a fire inside of me. Like I can't shut up about it. And so watch my TikToks,
Right.
you know, like it's going to resonate with somebody. It has resonated with so many people. So Leslie in the Vanity Room is doing big things that Leslie in Warner Robins, Georgia would have never, or Perry, Georgia, wherever I'm at now, like would have never thought. But this lights a fire in me.
I got you. And I know you've had some help along the way to help get it started and kind of push you a little bit. Anybody you would like to thank in that?
Yes, you.
I'm just small. I'm just
No,
coming
you're not.
into it.
No,
I'm just
you're
coming
not.
in.
This is my first time, and I feel so comfortable. Like, this is my first time speaking publicly to anyone. Like, I get on my TikToks.
Right.
Nobody can say anything back to me. I say what I want, and I end the video. Like, interacting other than my friends that I allow in my garage or whatever, I have never really like a male.
Right.
Yeah. So you.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't be here with that. Well, you started your platform, but the owners of the bar, like this.
Which we've got one here, Ruben.
Are you coming? Are you coming? Come say hi.
These guys are
Yes.
awesome, man. Neil and Ruben both. But Ruben, class acts, yeah.
Come over here. Say hi to the camera.
Saying hi to the camera.
Wait, don't you have a pose or something? You did a pose earlier.
I did like this. That's my go-to right there.
Love it.
But I can't thank you enough, man.
Yes, exactly. Like you don't realize, like, community is gonna love you. Like, just meeting you one time, I was like, yes, they've got it. They're Main Street. They've got it.
Takes a village, right?
Yeah.
It does take a village.
Me and Neil, right? I think if you see one, you see the other, because we kind of look alike.
Y'all look a lot alike.
She made that mistake as I did. She said,
Y'all look a lot alike. It's crazy.
Yeah, but we're here.
But it's comfortable here.
Absolutely.
It's a good environment.
And that's the goal, right? We want everybody to feel comfortable, feel at home, and feel safe.
yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Perfect.
Again, thank you enough, brother.
I'll be back. Oh, do I not get a pound? A pound.
Anybody else you'd like to thank? I mean,
Paul.
Paul, we got to get you
Paul, come on, Paul. I'm
Pull-
glad you
that,
showered.
Pull that bar stool in here, Paul. We're glad you showered before you came.
After your business, you did all your hard work.
So Paul's actually helped you get a lot of the TikTok work started and going, right?
He has. So he's got amazing editing skills. I do not edit. I literally just got on TikTok and just started talking.
Paul, what would you like to say about this experience? I mean,
What the podcast?
Yeah. well, not the podcasting, but I'm talking about her room, Leslie's vanity room.
It's a voice that needs to be heard. It's I don't think there's really enough awareness of it out there. I think there's a lot of women that live in silence behind it, and I also think that there's not I don't think there's a safe space or a comfort zone for them to kind of confide what they're dealing with unless they run into a room like
Right.
Leslie's vanity room. So, well, just whether you're dealing with that level or that group or somebody else, a lot of people just don't have that outlet. So if I got an opportunity to help on something like that,
You have so
I
much.
don't mind. Yeah, she ain't.
So he put me on my first live. You were there,
Yeah,
remember? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
That was kind of a off the script live.
It was, but I loved it.
So you've got a good network of people around you right now.
I have an amazing network and I have God. And that's really like what I do. I pray. Yeah.
Paul, you got anything else you want to say? Hey,
No, I'm good. This is her. This is her thunder.
Thing.
we'll let him slide out and we'll close it up
Okay.
then.
Yeah, that's your thunder.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, good right there. So Leslie, I can't thank you enough for coming in, sitting down, trusting me to do the interview, of course. There were some tears. I still see tears in your eyes right now.
Yeah.
Very emotional. And and I think it's the first time I ever publicly talked about what I experienced. So
You can make me. See, these are the stories.
Yeah.
Like, this
Which-
is the space.
yeah, which I mentioned it on the live that we did the other day, but I've never, and I even asked my mom, was it okay? I texted her earlier and said, is it okay if I talk about it? And she was like, absolutely. The funny thing, not funny thing, the sad part is my mom, this was, 30 years ago that this happened in front of me. 2 years ago, she got an apology from the guy. So
Well, good.
whether it was sincere or not, she doesn't know, but
Sometimes that's all you need to hear.
yeah. But at least it gave her maybe a little bit of closure.
Closure. Yeah.
I never got an apology from him. I mean, of course, you know,
You should have.
he would never be, you know. He was scared of me, and when I was a teenager, I mean, I know
Sure.
he's probably scared of me now.
Seen how
But
tall you are, and how big, how bulky you are, and like standing up. So yeah, I could imagine. But he does. You deserve an apology.
yeah, but I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. I can't thank you enough for what you're out there doing. I know it wasn't easy for you to step into the role of trying to be an advocate and trying to put your face on TikTok, and I know it's not easy for a lot of people, but I think you found a purpose, and I think that God's leading you in the right direction. And I pray that you help everybody that you can. And
That's the goal.
and I can't thank you enough for coming in today and us pulling off the Band-Aid to a very ugly topic, but one that needs to be in the forefront of everybody's mind.
It does. And thank you for having me. Like.